Hey guys, so today we had the awesome opportunity of speaking with Jeremy Davis of J.A. Davis Solutions. Man, it was an amazing podcast. We spoke on family and energy and leadership, coronavirus. I don't want to delay any longer. Let's jump right into this episode of Speak Audibly's 100% Me podcast with Jeremy Davis. Hey guys, welcome to SpeakAudibly.com. My name is Mike B. And I'm here with my son. We're playing at the dog park here. It's amazing. All right, guys. Today I have my brother, my friend, my coach, my mentor, all the above, Jeremy Davis on the line. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, fam. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm doing real good right now. Better than I see you, man. you bring back the center sometimes, you know.
I mean, listen, I know we all going through it right now, but thank God for technology, right?
That's it. My backups got backups now.
There you go.
Well, man, real quick before we get into it too deep, tell everybody in the audience here and on my podcast who you are, what you're about, what you do, brother.
Jeremy Andre Davis, you know what I'm saying? I have to throw that in there because, I always wanted to be called Dre. My parents, I don't know why they gave me the name Jeremy. It didn't sound as cool, but there's a lot of Jeremys out there, so I'm going to represent.
Big ups to the Jeremys.
Yeah, big ups. Husband, 13 years now. Been married to my college sweetheart, Heather.
Congrats.
We both played athletics at the University of Tulsa, a little Division I school in Oklahoma. Some of y'all don't have any idea where Tulsa or Oklahoma is. But I got to play football there. My wife played softball. We met in athletic study hall. As the story goes, is she was studying and I was studying her. So
come on.
13 years later, two little girls. We got a 6-year-old daughter, Cambry, and a 9-year-old daughter, Brinley Nicole Davis. And man, we're having a blast, being parents, being married, has its ups, its downs, soccer practice. My wife has a career. I got multiple careers, man, having a blast. So I love being a husband and a dad. As far as on the business side, you want me to talk about that right now or do you want me to wait?
Come on. Oh, yeah. What do you do, brother?
Yeah, so I am a serial entrepreneur, I guess is what you want to call that. Or a diversified businessman. So I am a real estate professional, but my passion is being an HR consultant. My company is called J.A. Davis Solutions. And over the past couple of years, I've had the privilege of partnering with a lot of organizations and their executive team and their HR team and actually helping them build systems for performance management, staff training, and development. I've gotten to do 360 tools and self-awareness tools and emotional awareness initiatives and different things like that. So, man, it's such an honor to serve my clients. And and I get to also just be a big brother and a coach and a friend to a lot of great people have allowed me to speak into their lives, Mike being one of them. It's funny because Mike says I'm one of his coaches, but he's actually a coach of mine because there's nobody that has the energy and the drive and the tenacity that Mike Wilson has. And so, man, thank you for allowing me to be on this and speak with you and your audience. This is going to be incredible. And then we'll go more into some of the things that I do in the course of the conversation, but so glad to be here.
Yes. Yeah, brother. No, thank you so much, man. As you guys know, this is the first guest podcast here on the 100% Me podcast. So that's Mr. Jeremy Davis. Now, just a backstory on us. We met 7 years ago.
Yeah.
We did some work together and this dude was someone that I needed in that phase of my life to show me what it looked like to be a man, a husband. I wasn't a dad yet, which is crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy was one of the first people to hold my first son and then one of the first to hold my second son. So we go way back and we are tight. This is my dude. This is family. And speaking of, normally I'm always over his house. Normally we are together,
Right.
but thanks to Rona here, coronavirus, that's not the case today,
Shut it down. Distance.
bro.
Social
Yes.
distance.
Yeah, so we're still face to face. It's just face to screen to face. So,
Yeah. Technology is keeping us sane, especially those
man,
introverts. So
man. So let's just jump right into Mr. It coronavirus. What do you believe today is our role as people in the coronavirus?
yeah, I mean it's twofold. I think the first thing is this: everybody needs to understand that no matter where you fall on the conversation of the validity of our leadership and their strategy, here's what I've kind of adopted, and this is probably tied right into our maturation, our self-awareness, and leadership. I just really believe that this is an opportunity for every single one of us that call ourselves leaders or in husbands, moms, just bosses, whatever, is to really model for those that look up to us kind of the mindset of what's in the greater good of our society. What I love about our country and what I love about the communities that you and I lead in is people have a deep sense of, I want to do what's best for my neighbor. I want to do what's best for my family. And this is an incredible opportunity. There's been some guidelines for social distancing. Thank God that they can't take away the social media aspect of it.
Oh,
But as far as being out, I really believe this is an opportunity for us to, on this side of history, be a part of the solution and make sure that we're never associated with the problem of spreading something. That's the first thing. I think the second role for us is kind of taking a moment to kind of rest, reflect, refuel, retool, and relaunch. Whether this thing is a couple of weeks, couple months, couple years, there's going to be an opportunity on the other side of this that we made good on this time where we are kind of whole. Like, we're not missing anything. Like, those of us that are extroverts, we have FOMO typically. Well, guess what? We're not missing out on anything.
nothing at all.
If I want to go grocery shopping together, I'll see you at the grocery store.
Right.
But we're not missing out on anything. So I really believe this is an opportunity for us to, all those reads that I just kind of ran through, to really press into those things because, man, I think I told you I have two daughters, and I've been married for 13 years. I mean, the busyness of life just kind of just goes and goes and goes and goes. You never recognize how busy you are
Right.
till something, Rona, throws the proverbial rock at your glass house, crashes it. You didn't realize how many things that you were juggling at one time.
Yeah.
So for the first 72, maybe 72 times 2 hours of being kind of locked down, it took my motors a second to slow back down and just be like, what am I so wound up for? There's nothing for me to go do outside of the home except the things that I spoke about. And so my hope is that everybody uses this opportunity to really press into reflecting, refueling, retooling, and then getting ready for that relaunch. Powerful opportunity. And then spending this time with family. That's the thing. I sat down at the table the other day. It was 12 o'clock. Kids are out of school, and we played a Monopoly card game. My 6-year-old daughter, she wants to come at me and crush me every time we play. A competitor like her dad.
There you go.
Sweet like her mama, competitor like her dad.
There you go.
But I realized in that moment at lunchtime, where I'm usually out at either a company gathering, a corporate gathering, or eating Wingstop with Mike. Shameless plug for our Wingstop meetings. My daughter had my undivided attention. And just for that moment, I just was like, man, wouldn't it be sad if there's a lot of people like myself who are driven, who are passionate, who want to add value, who want to do so many great things, and the world needs those things, but we look past the opportunities we have right here in front of us in our homes first. That really was a profound realization as I was looking across at my daughter playing that game and how special that was. Because the last thing that I would want is to get on the other side of this, and I didn't really take that time to rest and reflect and then even reconnect in a different way with my wife and my kids. And so I know that was a long answer to your question, but it's
Wow.
been an incredible opportunity, even in the midst of kind of a lot of the drama and,
Yeah.
fear and anxiety. You and I have been coaching and inspiring some of our friends and family members and team members and partners. And so that's a huge thing for me.
Yeah. So when it comes to that reconnection, right, with family, what does that look like when all this kind of begins to settle down? Because my fear, if I could call it that, is that a lot of people are going to go back to business as usual. So what are the things that you put in place to make sure that you have that intentional time, that reconnecting with your girls and your family?
Yeah, what's really good about a lot of you and I, and probably a lot of people that are watching, we are systems-driven people.
Yeah.
And if you're not systems driven, it's not that you have to become that. We call it a TJ personality, a thinking J, that you have to have concrete, finished, completion. This is probably an area you want to schedule what's important. I really believe this is an opportunity for us on the other side of this, not to just jump back into the status quo of busyness. I hope that a lot of things change. I mean, there's a lot of ways we go about do things that are changing regardless. But really being intentional about how we prioritize, because that's the thing is as we reorganize what our priorities are in life, really believe, this is the fuel that actually will sustain us to actually be more effective.
Wow, that's
The
good.
investment in our kids, the investment in our relationship with our significant other, the relationships that we invest in our family and friends. I mean, I have two brothers here in the city, and I have two nephews by my older brother, a nephew by my younger brother, and soon to be a niece by my younger brother. And currently, we're not able to connect. And so this really kind of refocused my eyes on, hey, there's a lot of things are important. A lot of things have to happen. But man, what an opportunity we have with those that are closest to us to really reconnect. Probably even relearn some of the things that excited us about that relationship. I kind of underestimated how much it means for my 6-year-old daughter to just play games with me. She'll play for 7-8 hours straight. My older daughter, who's words of affirmation and she's an achiever, she wants to show me how many juggles she can do. So I sat for 2 hours and watched her juggle a soccer ball. You would have thought that I gave her $1 million. Wow. I did.
Yeah.
In those 2 hours, that was worth more than anything to her ever. So my hope and prayer and desire for everybody that's listening, can hear my voice, is that we can redeem some of this time that we have out of the business of our enterprise, our organization, the mission that we have to drive, the outcomes that we need to achieve, and really refocus and reconnect.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. And so one of the things that you mentioned when it comes to prioritizing, right? Because even me, I'm having to be real intentional. Like Mike, when we come out the backside of this coronavirus, whenever that is, what are the priorities, right? And one of the things you mentioned was rest. And I almost feel like, rest is something that we're gonna have to almost schedule because, like you said, we are incredibly ambitious. We're driven individuals. So when you talk about rest, what is the importance to rest, to that word?
Well, you've heard me use this analogy a couple times, and let me go on record to say that my wife, Heather Nicole, hired Davis, did not hire, she didn't marry a very handy guy. So I can't change the oil in my car. I can't, Mike can hang doors and build a house, with his bare hands. He's certified electrician, do all kinds of stuff. I'm going to use this analogy. I just want to qualify that I'm not a guy that fixes cars. But what I do know is that there's been plenty of times in my younger years when I'd get out with one of my older cars and I'd go into the store and I'd be spending money and I'd come out, try to go out there and turn the car and crank it and it just go click, 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 click. Like, what is wrong? What click, 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 click? So I'm stranded out there like, what is the problem? Well, the battery was drained. By the time I got it over to Jiffy Lube, this is what they told me, the battery was drained. And I was like, well, I just bought a new battery. What's the problem with the battery? It's a brand new battery. And they're like, well, your alternator is out. And I was like, okay, so the alternator is in there to recharge the battery whenever it clicks it over, from what I understand. And what the technician told me is like, I need to replace the alternator. And I feel like the same is for us in resting and recharging our batteries. There's many of us that were so driven, we're so ready to take on the next thing that we never check to see if our alternator is still properly operating. And so we may think that because we come home and we lay on the floor and our kids are just jumping on us, or we sit on the couch and veg out and look at a TV, that we're resting.
Resting, right.
But in all reality, our alternator is busted. And there's only a matter of time if we're going to launch out and get stuck because we don't have the energy. And so what I'm learning also in this time, because I didn't realize, Corona has also helped me see a couple of idols that I want to bring to your attention. This is like a counseling session. So two idols that I have are importance. You know, I love to invest in people and, you know, be significant role in people's lives to help them go to the next step, but then also business. And so those are two idols that are actually the antithesis or exclusive of rest. And it took me, you know, a couple days to really say, Jeremy, why aren't you resting? Why are you constantly processing, trying to get to the next level, trying to think about the next strategy? And really, I started to run out of gas. I went through this cycle, even in this quiet. Didn't realize my alternator was out. And it was time to figure out, what are the things that really charge Jeremy up?
Wow.
Not to just turn over and turn on, but to actually really go and go hard, because actually that's what really is invigorating to a lot of us. Is, man, we want to go hard. We want to make as much impact that we possibly can. But if we're not paying mind to our alternators, there's going to come a moment where we can't recharge. And so I found a few of those things that actually helped me refuel and recharge. And one of them was that quiet time playing games with my girls.
Wow.
Go figure.
Right. I like how that works out.
Just sitting there trying to keep my 6-year-old daughter's foot off my throat in the game, on the card game. And just the innocence and the purity and the peace and just engaging like that, that's one of the anchors that I'm going to schedule in the season when we get back and we relaunch.
Wow.
Because, man, it's been so life-giving just to have that quality time.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
That's one of them.
That's awesome. You going to divulge us with the second one, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's kind of bittersweet because, you know what the other one is, and we did a lot of that. I love to grill for my friends and have back patio time. That's just something that, you know, not only do we redeem that time, we share and we iron sharpens iron and all that kind of stuff, man. But there's something about the sizzle of a slab of baby back ribs.
Come on.
And your friends enjoying those. And, you know, I love serving and hosting. And that's just one of the other things that really is refreshing and re-energizing for me. And I really believe there's something like that for everybody. I got friends that go sit in the deer stand for half the day. They're trying to get me to go out there. That won't work for me.
Right.
You know, I got a buddy who does bass fishing, but that's his go-to. And he gets out there on that lake at like 4 a.m. and he's ready to go. And that helps him really recharge. And so those of you that have not yet found that, I really, you know, this is an opportunity to really reflect and kind of say, okay, what are the things that really charge me up so that I can do the things that ultimately that I really feel called, passionate to, equipped to do. That's so important.
That's good. That's good. And side note, I can attest to his grilling. Where I may be a little handy, this dude on that grill, it's like a DJ, right? Got them turntables. He just making that music sound so great. And it is good, y'all. It is good. But really what it sounds like you're talking about with a lot of the self-auditing and really taking into consideration who you are is self-awareness, right? Self-awareness, it sounds like a huge thing. So since it evidently is such a big thing for you and what you are out there teaching, why is it so important to be self-aware?
Yeah, I think one of the things that you've heard me say numerous times is we're all a brand. Um, what does your brand of leadership communicate to other people? You know,
Mhm.
I like to use the analogy thinking about sports brands and shoes. Like we're into those kind of things, and you know, when you think Nike, for the most part, most people think excellence and consistency. Now, since both my daughters play soccer, I have these Adidas apologists trying to force their propaganda on me that Adidas supposedly is somehow greater than Nike. That's for a whole other podcast. We can go on and on and on about that.
Yeah.
But when you think Adidas or you think Nike, it evokes a response, an emotion when you see it, when it's, you know, shirt, shorts, shoes, and they're all together, you know, saying it evokes an emotion and a feeling. I've been playing sports in college. I can remember when I had some of those brands on, and actually, in my mind, it felt like I could play better.
Right.
And so there were messages and messaging associated with those brands. And I really feel like as leaders, we have the same opportunity and responsibility. See the consistency in how we say things, when we say things, how we carry ourselves. I say it like this to a lot of the leaders that I get to speak into. Everything that you do, everything that you say either enhances or inhibits your ability to influence.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this influence is definitely an art form. Just as many people can, you know, you watch the Olympics and the gymnastics and the floor exercise, how beautiful that is, and how much it took to work to hone in that craft. Or if you watch some of these pro golfers, like I used to make fun of golfers until I tried to go play. I learned a lesson. I also tried to play tennis one time. Don't sleep on tennis player. Or being a musician. Both of us have been musicians, and it's just going to an orchestra and seeing how the craft and how it plays out and how it evokes an emotion and a response and make you feel and kind of draw you to it. The same thing can be said about leadership as an art form. And so if everything that we do enhances or inhibits our ability to influence, what you got to understand is influence equals leadership.
Yeah.
And every single one of us, no matter whether we're at the top of the food chain in our organization, whether we're an entrepreneur, whether we're just an employee, there's somebody that we have an opportunity to lead and to influence. Those of us that are parents, every single morning, every single day, it's an opportunity to lead or influence. Those of us that are married, I'll just stop there. We don't even
Come on.
But what I do know is self-awareness drives a perfection of influence. Self-awareness, they're in the same sentence. They're in the same category. They work hand in hand. And I'm so passionate about that because I've seen the fruit of growing in self-awareness impact the way that I lead in the marketplace, how I relate to my clients, how I've been able to empower and encourage and coach staff, team members, and then also as a husband, as a father, and as a brother, how self-awareness, most importantly, emotional intelligence, that's a whole nother conversation.
Come on. Yeah, baby, come on.
Really drives influence.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're gonna have to come back on here at some point, do some kind of EQ talk. So, get the emotional quotient going.
That's a 2-part session, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So a conversation that we had like 6 years ago was on the brand of you, right? That you incorporate. And so I love how you tie in the self-awareness with that, because you told me that, you know, the most self-aware person in any room is the most dangerous person in that room.
That's right.
And that's huge. That's huge. So you spoke a lot about leaders and leadership and influence, how they kind of go hand in hand. So let's discuss a little bit the difference kind of between leaders and managers. Because I feel like a lot of people are gonna look at this and they're gonna think, my boss, you think my boss is a leader, you know, and they're trying to figure that out and go through that. Go ahead and break that down for us, the difference between leaders and managers.
Yeah, so you know, you heard me talk about leadership influence. There's a resource that I read, and we might reference it later, put it in links.
For sure.
But there are three energies that go into executing or moving people towards an outcome. And those three energies are power, they are authority, and then there's influence. And when you talk about the difference between leaders and managers, managers most of the time deploy those first two energies. They have power over you, so they can decide whether you're hired or fired or written up.
Right.
And then there's authority. Well, my boss made me the boss over you, and so I'm authorized to tell you these things. And that's basically managing tasks, not really people, because people are going to fall in line if they can feel the pressure of the power or the authority. But a leader is Yoda, basically. And I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. That's a whole different thing. I know y'all are surprised, but when I say that influence is an art form, influence is built on relationship. And so if you can have you don't have to have deep, hugging, touchy-feely relationships with people to have a platform in their life or in your organization to help them understand that you are trying to equip and shape and build them up to execute so that not only they can win, but then you all can lead towards the outcome. When you can influence people there, then that's when you are in effect Yoda, or you are an influencer. But if you have the default to exercising your authority or wielding your power over somebody, you are managing. So I would say that's the management tiers. Those are the two management tiers, and influence is the leadership tier.
That's awesome. So I hear that from a business owner standpoint, right? As someone who will one day have multiple employees. Let's talk to the employee right now. Maybe they're the person saying, you know what, no, my boss is a manager because I'm just getting pressure all the time and tasks. Is there ever a time when a leader kind of has to step into that management role?
From the employee standpoint or from the leader standpoint?
From the employee standpoint.
Well, that's great, because I mean, this kind of takes me back, flashes us back, takes us in a time machine, back to the future, back to that conversation you and I are having. I think we were having that conversation because we had a leader that may have been a little difficult at the time. The perspective that I was trying to give you when I said that the most dangerous person in the room is the most self-aware, is not because you know just about what you feel. A self-aware leader is also a leader that understands and empathizes what everybody else feels. And what makes you dangerous is where other people are acting out of their emotions, their feelings, their frustrations, or anxiety, but you can be aware enough to understand what triggers are going on around you and how and kind of gauge how you respond makes you the most powerful individual in any room. Wow. Because as you and I see right now, people are losing their stuff. And I want to say rightfully so. If you are a human being who has family who are stressed or lost a job or lost a business, I think this is an appropriate time to freak out.
Right.
But those of us that are working on mastering our emotions and counting the cost of what this action or attitude or the way that we interact with people, counting that cost, then we can rise above what is normal. Like that situation that you and I were talking, we could have responded out of frustration because of our leader or something that we saw in our organization where we thought, man, they should think this way about us and about what we're doing. But instead, we decided like, hey, man, like this is the rules. This is the game. This is understanding ourselves and where we're at, and not being okay with it, but understanding and making a cognizant decision. This is how we're going to respond, not react.
Come on.
Every single person that's listening to my voice, if you are an employee and you have bosses, whether you think they're good or bad, here's the deal. That's neutral, because you can control only you. Yeah. Short of abuse, they're people just like you.
Right.
And if you look up and you can empathize with where they're at in the position they're in, even though they may not be your most favorite person, if you understand, like, you know what, I don't know what they're going through. I didn't appreciate how they came and they said X, Y, and Z, but here's the reality. Like, I'm not showing my hand. I'm not showing out. I'm not giving up, and I'm gonna keep growing. And this conversation will look different in the future, not in a intimidating way, but like I said, you can only control yourself, and there's no reason that any person that's self-aware, and that's the thing, is like being self-aware is like, you do get mad. We're human.
Right.
We do get disappointed. We have our own feelings. We have our own expectations. And that's the thing, is like when you and I were talking, self-awareness was key for you to remain classy, remain professional, and proceed and actually ultimately win, because you didn't lose your stuff.
That's good. That's good. And y'all don't think that I was like a super angry person, but
No.
but I had a lot of growth, and so to be able to have a person to come through like that was huge for me. And so, well, I mean, another conversation, another podcast, but accountability is key. Accountability is huge. Without having this dude that you guys are witnessing right now, this is what I get on the daily basis for the last 7 years now.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be a little envious, but don't find your person.
Well,
Find your person.
and the funny thing is you weren't upset. That was the thing. You were trying to understand, like, how do we respond to that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what a great opportunity, for you and for you and me. All we learned. If we were upset people, we wouldn't be in the positions that we were in.
That's truth.
The main thing is, and that's another whole nother podcast, is how to lead up. Because I really believe out of those conversations, we had a great opportunity to lead up, because we carried ourselves in a self-aware manner, and we didn't disqualify ourselves in the face of leadership because we approached them the right way. Whole nother podcast. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole other podcast.
So as you guys see, we're going to be on here with Jeremy quite often, right? But even more so, you see where his level of excellence and professionalism really stands. So JD, if there was sorry, I called you JD, I think for the first time. I call him JD.
That's fine.
But if there was a service or a product that you have that you say, you know what, for people watching this, this is for you, this is what you're going to want, what would that be?
Man, so here's what you got to understand. I'm passionate about self-mastery and personal growth, for not only the organization's benefit, but I know as we grow in leadership and self-awareness, we become better husbands, wives, parents, friends. And so my deal is that when we grow, we enhance our ability to see greatness in ourselves. First and foremost, self-awareness helps us see the greatness in ourselves. And that's why I love your book. That's why I go shameless plug, but not really shameless. It's going to be in the link, right?
That's it. It's going to be in the link.
You got to pick up the book, because those are the conversations that Mike and I have been having for the last 6-7 years. But we got to see it in ourselves. But then when we grow, it helps us see it in those around us. And that's why I fell in love with my brother Mike, because as much as he's always wanted to get better himself, he's always just been just as passionate as I am about calling it out of other people. And so when we grow in empathy, and we learn how to be intentional with how we approach people and communicate with people, and we grow in being more selfless, we can become change agents in every circle that we walk in. That's the thing. And there's no greater calling in the world than to be committed to calling out greatness in other people.
Come on.
And the people that we know, the people that we love, the people that we serve. And so for me and JA Solutions, our mission is helping individuals and companies surface the underlying gifts and talents of the most valuable asset to every enterprise and organization. And that asset is the people. And
people, come on.
Because I was you and still am you. I am both an entrepreneur, a business owner, and I'm an employee, and I'm in customer service, because those of us that have clients, we're still in customer service. And I promise you, you become a better servant to your clients. You become a better salesperson when you grow in self-awareness and grow in leadership. So that's my, not shameless, but my plug for J.A. Davis Solutions. I'm so passionate about seeing people walk in that kind of authority and that kind of power over their lives, and then helping the people around them. Because it doesn't help if it's just me and you in this video virtual world
Right.
who knows these things and walk out of our houses and walk into our bedrooms and walk into our kids' rooms with this level of awareness if we don't have the opportunity to share it with other people.
That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. And so everything about Jeremy's business will be linked in the show notes here. But also, JD, we're a social media, social connected generation of people. What is the best platform, if you had to say was one platform, what platform would that be for people to connect with you?
Well, okay, so there's not one. There's multiple. I would say this: if as you've heard me talk, I'm really passionate about my wife and my kids. So if you want to see that I'm not just talking about stuff that ain't real, you can actually look on Facebook, facebook.com/Dre Davis 90. That's right, Dre, like Dr. Dre Davis 90. That's how you can find me on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Jeremy Andre Davis, one word. That's how you can find me. But as far as connecting and talking about how I could partner with your organization, your HR department, performance management, development tools, plans, all that kind of anything HR related with talent management, I would say LinkedIn. They're not paying me for that, but I can tell you this: LinkedIn is a great place where I see people like yourself that have great ideas, great insight, and we're professionals looking to sharpen one another, connect with one another. And I just love that platform. I've enjoyed getting to connect with even old classmates. I'm a lot older. We didn't talk about how old we are, but graduated high school a couple decades ago. You know what I'm saying? So some of the professionals and what we're doing. Turn of the millennial class of 2000. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, really old. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. So all of that will be linked in the show notes for you guys to follow him. And yes, this dude loves his family. You'll see that his love for people in general is just admirable. So one thing that I didn't necessarily run past you is the final question here.
And what you talking about, man? I don't see no more questions on here. What you doing?
Now this is the good one, all right? Because at Speak Audibly, we say, you have a voice, let it be heard, speak audibly. So what I'm going to preface this with is the movie The Dark Knight. We're talking Batman, the first one, right? Early 2000s.
Christian Bale, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Two-Face and stuff was in there. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, at the end of the movie, he's running, right? I mean, there's dogs chasing him and cops and such. And basically, this is him getting ready to get off the grid. Right, he's about to go into hiding until movie 2, of course. Well, let's say that's you. Let's say you're getting ready to go off the grid, right? Your channel's about to go black. It's about to go to the white noise. You know how the TVs used to go when we were kids. Again, dating ourselves just a little bit.
Yes.
But you get ready to go off the grid. What is one kind of gift of knowledge that you would leave to anyone who's watching, anyone who is listening? What's that one thing that you would leave them with?
I would say this. I would say your responsibility to grow. It's not your boss. It's not your organization's responsibility. I think I would put it under the tag or the headline self-responsibility. One of the greatest gifts and realizations and freeing things that I ever realized is that any energy that I had being frustrated with my current situation, any bosses or leaders or organization that I didn't feel were looking out for my best interest and maximizing my gifts, I took responsibility on myself and I controlled what only I could control, which was how I grew. And so for those of you that are hearing my voice, and you may not, if you were not going to hear it for however long between the movie and the next one, I can't remember the names of them now, it would be to leave you with the idea that you got one life, you got an opportunity to maximize all the things that God has given you to not only impact for yourself, but your family, your friends, everybody you come in contact with, and it's all waiting for you to uncover. We live in a great time in history where there are tools and resources that are free that you could leave right now, even as you're listening to me, and something that you're passionate about, and you can get hours and hours and hours and hours of info and insight and videos. And the things that I'm talking about, what I was passionate about, what I realized was the reason why I'm passionate about helping you is because there was a system and there were coaches and leaders that helped me see myself, see my surroundings, and unlocked the potential that was in. It's nobody else's responsibility but yours. So take that to heart. Use that as rocket fuel, not to get at or get back at somebody, but to get what is in you out and share and impact everybody around you.
Wow. So y'all heard it here first. A cherry on top, self-responsibility. Self-responsibility. JD, thank you so much, man, for your time and for giving the knowledge to this audience, man. You are truly admirable, man. You're a role model. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
You the man. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Yes, sir.
Hey guys, so I hope you enjoyed this episode with Jeremy Davis of JA Solutions. Like I told you before, this dude is incredible. He's a dad, a husband, an incredible man, and as you've seen, an incredible leader. So if you want to connect with him, be sure to check the show notes for all of his contact information. Thank you so much for listening to Speak Audibly's 100% Me podcast. My name is Mike Wilson. You guys go out and do something great. Hey guys, Mike Wilson here. Wanted to give a quick shout out to my boy Anthony Chicken. You see, about 2 years ago,